CNN, they did a big in-depth piece. Democratic leaders want the party to stop its Kamala Harris pile-on ahead of 2024. They first point out that Elizabeth Warren, who recently would not say whether Kamala Harris should be his running mate, she's now called twice to apologize to Kamala Harris. Harris won't take the call. So those two are fighting. It's fed an ongoing breakdown of accusations and purported misunderstandings between them. Kamala Harris's team describes the incident as pretty insulting. And Warren is trying to take the knee and say, oh, she was just trying to not step on a minefield of getting ahead of a campaign announcement. Okay, sure. So Harris's circle is, quote, infuriated over this whole thing. And they're mad that she's, quote, never gotten the respect or support she deserves. Quoting here, multiple Democratic leaders contend that if people don't start feeling more positive about the next person in line of succession, they might turn away from the ticket entirely. They're urging allies to stop the Harris pile-on, if only for Biden's sake or for Democrats' sake or the party's future. Maddie, they think that this is just people being mean. There's a quote in there from some of Harris's defenders saying what this is really about is Americans need to get used to, quote, a black woman in a position of political power. That's the problem of these whiny Democrats and Republican detractors. And it's not weird, awkward, cringy moments where she uses the odd cackle like just this one. Just pull the latest one. I could have done 10 better, but this is just the most latest one where she's talking about, being a conservative or misunderstanding what a conservative is when she was a kid. Sot 4.
I'm going to share with you a very simple story, which is that I went home one day and I said, well, why are conservatives bad, Mommy? Because I thought we were supposed to conserve things. I couldn't reconcile it. Now I can.
Is it over? It's it. Okay. So your thoughts on whether it's just these racist, sexist Americans or it's a Kamala Harris problem?
It's the Kamala Harris problem. And this has been obvious since 2020. It's easy to forget this now, but during the 2020 presidential campaign, Kamala Harris was universally recognized as a very weak candidate. There were pieces in the Times, CNN, commenting on this very fact. And of course, the problem was Joe Biden wanted a woman of color as his VP, and that narrowed the field and looking at not who's the most qualified politician, who's the most talented politician, but who ticks this box. And ever since, she's been cringy, disappointing, gaffe-prone. I mean, she did that interview in June 2021 about why she hadn't visited the border, and she did another awkward cackle and said, well, I've not visited Europe, as if that in any way answered the question. And actually, she stopped giving interviews for almost a year after that experience. It was so traumatic for her. And of course, there was another mortifying moment where she confused South Korea and North Korea. I mean, we have a lot of gaffes to choose from if we're going through them. So you can understand why people in the party think she's not up to the job, why she is a liability. But they also have a point that this is very much a team sport, especially when you currently have the presidency. And given Joe Biden's age, given he is also gaffe prone and not particularly good at interviews, it is important that people have that unity. And it isn't a good look to have Elizabeth Warren maybe through a Freudian slip give the impression that she doesn't really think that Harris is all that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you don't have to look very far into the Kamala Harris bank of sound bites to find how underwhelming she is, how unimpressive she is. Producer Canadian Debbie pulled one of her favorites, which is just Kamala Harris's obsession with the Venn diagram. It's just, you can't go wrong going into this bank. Here's a little.
Remember Venn diagrams, those three circles? Right. And then let's just see where they overlap. You will not be surprised because I have constructed a Venn diagram on this. Remember those three circles, how they overlap? I love Venn diagrams. So I just do. Whenever you're dealing with conflict, pull out a Venn diagram, right? And so, the three circles. And so I asked my team, right? They're fantastic. He sees the Venn diagram of it all. He sees that there are those circles, and maybe people seem that they're a little different. They live in different parts of the country. They may be different age or different race. But that area in the middle, that overlap.
I don't get it. Is she, the uncharitable part of me, Charlie, would say this is not a very smart person. But my experience as a lawyer tells me you don't get to be the Attorney General of the state of California. And I realize there are identity issues that helped her get to that post. But, that's a challenging position to hold. And they don't normally put a bunch of morons in it. Like, I genuinely look at her and think, I don't understand why she talks the way she does, why she sounds the way she does.
It's probably a slightly less challenging position to get to when you've been sleeping with Willie Brown. I think she's an idiot.
There's that.
I've long thought that she's an idiot. And worse than that, I find her excruciating as a candidate. People in the United States or any free country are allowed to elect idiots, but she's off-putting. She's not underwhelming. She's off-putting. That display that you just offered up is, it's baffling. I think she thinks she's cute. I think she thinks it's a cute foible.
Yes.
And
you're right.
It's not. She talks all the time as if she hasn't read the brief. Someone pointed out to me she's like the person in the class who hasn't read the book that gives the presentation anyway. And not once or twice and not on a few topics, but on every topic. She is a terrible, terrible person and politician. In 2019, I wrote a piece saying that I was so thrilled that she had to drop out of the race because she was precisely the sort of person that we don't want in American politics. She's an authoritarian. She's dishonest. She sees the angles and cynically pursues them. And then, of course, she was made vice president. And I thought, well, got that one wrong. She didn't get her just desserts for her conduct in her political career and her conduct during the primary. But actually, she has got her just desserts because she's wildly unpopular and deserves to be so. She is causing the Democratic Party an endless supply of headaches, and she will continue to do so in the future. In my estimation, it does not especially matter whether the Democratic Party can come together and stop criticizing Kamala Harris. If the New York Times stops running pieces about how she's a liability, if Elizabeth Warren writes a book saying Kamala Harris is the greatest person who's ever lived, none of that matters because Kamala Harris is not going to change. Perhaps in the first couple of months of her vice presidency, you could say it's nerves, it's unfamiliarity with the office, these are trying times, or what you will. But we're now closer to the next election than to the last one, and she has not improved. In fact, I think she's devolved. This is not going to change.
Maybe you've heard me talk about Bonner Private Wine Partnership. They have these great, incredibly rare Malbecs that you have got to try. If you enjoy a glass of wine, try these wines from the extreme altitudes of Argentina. The flavor is unlike any other. Blackberry, leather, smoke, little dark cherry in there. And these wines are nearly impossible to get on your own. The producers deep in the Andes Mountains make limited quantities. The best part, they have cut out the middleman so you will not deal with a big markup. Today we have a great offer for you. If you visit Bonner, Bonner, privatewines.com/MKS, you will not only get the wine for over 50% off, plus free shipping, you'll also get a bonus bottle of small batch limited production wine from their exclusive wine cellar. That's 4 bottles for the price of 3. It is a deal that's hard to turn down if you are a wine lover like yours truly. Just visit Bonner, Bonner, privatewines.com/MKS to claim your bonus bottle and become a part of America's most unique wine club. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.